What's going on here? I dare say folk could wonder. See the hat? Tweed, Irish tweed, English. See the puppet, the geezer? That represents a lot of stuff, That machine bit of metal on the side. That's the diamond face knife sharpener. It's just scruffy. Oh, by the way, the badge, yeah, that's my memoir, Finningley. Where I used to cycle underneath those damn things when I was a youth. Vulcan bombers. Ready for the nuclear war. Ready for the nuclear war. Now when Al Gore blathered on about an uncomfortable truth and said the world is heating up, he was speaking in code as far as I'm concerned. I've often said it prior to all this fluffy, oh, God was wrong, it's just a movie. Oh dear. I was well in tune with, because I've been brought up to we as opposed to they, when it's used in the royal prerogative, who the hell are they talking about when they say we? They're talking about them. They're not talking about us. Right? Well, these nibs found out the hard way. Yeah, I used to cycle underneath the wings of those aeroplanes. I'm well above it now, as you can see. They're stuck in the strand line of history. That was marginalised early days. Yes, this one's going native. What shall we do with him? Well, it looks crazy to me. Bin him. We can't charge him with anything. A lot of that went on. How do I know? Get in the queue, I'll explain it. There you go. I'm not vindictive, but I'd remind them out there that think they're being fair by only persecuting other people's tribes. That those people don't observe the same code that abused them. Picture when Nelson Mandela's gone. They confirm it. Understand the English language. Don't try understanding the English people. They're the same people that you speak. Whether you speak in bally old Borneo dialect or Mandarin or Chitrali or Portuguese, Brazilian, Indio or whatever right action easy profit language you use. Be warned. The English language is understood by the dialectic of its own philosophical psychology, given that it's a non-sectarian. It's not really Christian philosophy. It's not Romano, Greco-Romano, Arabic, Jewish, Confucian. It's none of that shit. It's non-sectarian. It wants to make money out of everybody. Well, Clive of India didn't take into consideration that there were 16 major languages which were kind of more populous than anything English or anything French or anything German or anything Hollandish. Made them all speak English if they want to make some money. No. Hardly an ethical standard. He sold his business to the crown. The crown takes on the debt. When you take on the debt, you're assuring that you will discharge it by contract or promise in good faith. You undertake it. Britain didn't do that. It made it conditional on profit. If it didn't profit from the transaction, it didn't do it. So it didn't actually change anything. It just changed the terms and conditions of trade. It didn't actually free the people as a matter of consequence of being free. It just sold them a bill of goods that their way of doing things was better than the traditional, organic, biologically perfect world that had evolved before Britain had ever existed. Oh yeah, there were caste systems. You could aspire to being beyond that. Well, there's not a lot of chance for most of the people in the British Islands that they could get anywhere near above what they're doing now, or that their fathers did, or their grandfathers. So India had a lot more hope. As a result, it was more easily taken over because they were prepared to stick it out forever. Britain wants instant results. That's what it was used to. Gunboat diplomacy. Yeah, waste of time. I'm from Yorkshire, Armthorpe. A teaching pit, Markham, you know. A teaching pit. Them that didn't go down the hole no more than them that did. Get it right. I live in France now. I wish I could talk to sane, educated people from Armthorpe. If there's any about, I could. You know, Armthorpe, near Doncaster. Ex-members of Don Valley. Or Doncaster Technical Grammar School for boys. Be grateful. There's nothing in it for me, youth. I'll live over here. I couldn't live over there. I don't want to stand in a food queue. Excuse me, I've got hiccups. Comes drinking rum and water. I should have left the water out. See the puppet? See dear? Aye. And see the voice. 34 Basil Avenue is where I used to live. I was brutalised there. There's blood up the bathroom wall in my day. It was mine. Ah, and I live with the love of my dad, who did a nasty deed. Isn't that weird? I wonder if rum and water will cure hiccups. I twinkle on my flute now. I wonder if Roger Majerison still lives in Armthorpe. I wonder if Glenn Lambert still lives in Armthorpe. And what about John Skamans? And what about that lovely, lovely girl, Josephine Reed? Ah, I did love you, Josephine. In the most innocent way possible. I thought if ever I was a grown-up, you'd be the girl for me. That's a fact. Oh well. You can't have everything in this world, but it ought to be on the record. Here's some tune anyway. Hello. There's not a lot to playing the flute. It just takes years to understand how. I've been working on it since I was 12 years old. I'd like to hear the other folk who've been learning it secretly on the trumpet, on the violin, you know, on the banjo. unofficially, without the aid of state or church or, against impossible odds. If anyone out there, hello, a man desperate for companionship. I'm desperate for colleagues. Desperate, man. I'm over 70 now. 70 this year, October the 20th. Okay? You kind of get disadvantaged in Angleterre from when I was a little one. If you're named after a Bavarian saint who was martyred for working too hard with hammers on the head, Otto von Bismarck, as I was named after both a Bavarian saint and Otto von Bismarck, I can say that the fact that my dad was brown and my mum was a veteran exodus from Germany on principle, all those years ago, 1947, I reckon I might have had it a handicapped existence. Disadvantaged by my heritage of stuff that was absolutely nothing to do with me. Now, don't you appreciate what I might feel about stuff like Black Lives Matter? Ultimately, if they don't give a fuck about their own, they don't matter. All right? That means their own families. You shoot someone in somebody's family, their family is going to waste yours. You might think very little of your family, but they're going to point the finger at you because you are the one that's causing the problem. I'm prepared to defend. I'm on Russia's side, if you like. I'm not on NATO's side. NATO's got nothing to do with defending national boundaries, and neither has America. And neither has NATO. They're riding like a flea on the back of the power that rules. The ones who've got their fingers on the triggers and the buttons on the bomb. We're going to follow those morons? There's not good that can be said about Lee. I see my little puppet. I called him Liam. He was born in Ireland. Belmont. Was it, no. Belmont. I can't remember. I'm just outside of my crew anyway. The Taylor's cottage. Oh, you fixed it up. Alcoholic moron who claimed he was the landlord. He had an eternal flame granted to the house by very sneaky electric companies. Saying always the eternal flame will be burning, you can pray to it and all sorts. Holy eternal flame. So they plugged that into the electricity and managed to get a right of way across the land by bribing people with the religious bullshit that they'd have a kind of almost an access to God. Well, over time, the valve that they were charging had smoked up to the point where nobody could see the electric spark inside the flame. So nobody knew that that bloody light was still going strong. They had one acetate covered line going through the whole house underneath the plaster. Somewhere. One. Which coupled up to lights and electric points and this bloody eternal flame. Now I was prepared to pay the electricity bill for what I used, but shortly after going into the house, I plugged my tool, a 30 amp, I don't know what, but a Black & Decker drill into the plug socket, which you would think, given that it's a plug socket for the kind of drill I had, a domestic size, it would stand up to the strain. It was the only thing on, and the wires burnt out in the wall. Wow. The electricity board sent the man an electricity bill, even though I'd hardly used the electricity for not more than a week or so, for £270. Punch. Huh? Because it had been taking electricity, the light, the holy light, Jesus saves. The holy light was stealing electricity and charging one landlord for the use. But he couldn't see it because the inside of the valve glass was smoked up. It was virtually invisible, and he hardly ever used it. The cottage. Unless he was blind drunk. That's too bad, isn't it? It shows you the level of corruption. I had a similar experience where, well, I didn't pay the bill. For that matter, I didn't pay the bill. He misrepresented his own authority and didn't really take on his own responsibilities. So I wasn't given a clean slate to start on and say which was ever mine. So until the landlord can clear the debt from his own table, I'm not going to be held to ransom. I'll expose him more than anything. The guy came on Christmas night to say his mother wouldn't let him. Was it Christmas or New Year's? His mother wouldn't let him in. So he came and hid in my place that I was paying rent for. Oh, good one, yeah? Wow. It's just a colourful weekend. I'm not bothered. I don't hold it against him. He tried to get the money off me and threatened me, but it doesn't work like that. You can give no one anything from an empty bucket, and it's not the same as giving them a kicking, and I wouldn't recommend giving anyone a kicking. But it's not the same as if I paid a legitimate debt, I'd feel relieved, and so would the man I owed. Huh? But if I'm forced to pay a debt that is owed by the landlord to a third party, and he's trying to take it from under my belt, I'm going to be mightily affected. I'll remain unpredictable about the results, best way forward, like. Unpredictable works better than telling them what I do. Best stay away from me. Just stand by your beds. Look at that, 25 minutes and 45 seconds. And absolutely bugger all's happened so far. You can only do so much for the outside world. Most of it go, oh, it's free. It's free, get some of that when you need it, and not. The people who need it the most are walking the slowest. They're walking. They're not driving round as soon as they hear it on the internet. It's like when they offered insulation and stuff to the general public of Britain. Fact. Alright, don't even bother checking it. You get your money from bugger all anyway, you lot. When they advertised, years and years ago, I was on the South Oxford Adventure Playground. At the time, as an adventure assistant, or whatever. I'm the childminder, alright, public. They were offering insulation to all houses. The house, not the people. If your house wasn't insulated, they offered it. Dave, who got the insulation first? The ones who were stuck on the computers, the middle classes, all over Oxford. There was work for folk who've got a computer at home, probably ex-IBM workers and whatever next. They knew about it. They didn't tell the neighbours. So all the middle class types who could afford it themselves, and who had the knowledge given the education, kept it to themselves and got it while you could. Well, they could anyway, after in their caravan. But they were really reluctant to tell the poorest of their community about insulation grants. So the people who could afford it got the grants, and the people who couldn't afford it hadn't even heard. That's Oxford for you. They like to maintain a class barrier. Just so happened that the new ingress of Indian, Jamaican, etc., post-colonial indigenous people, I mean, they lived in the ground, they were born often in Oxford, were deprived of the knowledge and the information by the superclass that needed servants later on to run the markets and whatever next, and the shops and the tradable zones and the restaurants. So there we're all right, Jack. Right. Is that what they use intelligence for? I'd use mine for other purposes. Oliver Tickell. My God, what a waste of space. I mean, I've had a solid ball kicking in my lifetime. I've had a damned awful head kicking in my lifetime. I've been put in hospital and I've paralysed my body through people being offended that I still exist as a person in this world. I'm one of many that they just happen to not like, all right? People like Oliver Tickell would never stand up for any of the kind of people that had radical fringe positivity unless he could use it with his own autograph at the bottom. I believe that. I believe he's a total sellout. I'd love to hear what he had to say about himself in public. You know, he helped, Gobshite, whatever his name is, Johnson. He aided the political strategies and tactics of that day for Johnson to get into Oxford politics. He aided the popular, retarded politics of his day to get Heseltine into Henley. A right tosser by popular account. A right tosser. You can tell his wife that that's what she's married, is my opinion. I think so. I thought he was more man than that, but he's not. I saw a side of him in Glastonbury that he dare not account for. And I'd like him to account for it, like an honest man. And if he can't account for it, then anything that he may have stood for in the past is utterly bogus. An intellectual mercenary who didn't give a fuck about anybody except his own status. Right? Okay. That's how I feel. Hiding behind the fact that he had children, he couldn't come and say hello and discuss some important subjects, but claiming to be a friend. I don't want to be a digital, crenellated message maker for the sake of Oliver Tickell's personal political convenience. I didn't, honest. So, I'm celebrating the end of the world at the moment. It's going to be midnight soon enough. I think I'll have another sip. Hello. He looks upset. I better go and sort him out. Oh, come on, Liam. Oh, well, there he is. Liam the Great. All together with Tax and String. This has got a decent pair of trousers now. They were rags before. It'd be nice to see him dancing again, it would. But I'm not just going to shove him out like some kind of prostitute, because basically it is a skilled job. And he has no reason to feel ashamed of what he did. And I don't think pimping him out for lazy-assed electronic music freaks, you know, I don't believe that that would do the culture any good. The culture isn't reliant on nuclear energy and SpaceX technology. It's reliant on moral human biology, a compass towards a sustainable future. And it isn't the brainchild of any megalomaniac, corrupt billionaire or government. No way. It's not. Common people everywhere need to understand they have been duped. I don't care if they ban me, if they demonetize whatever the hell that means. I don't ask for money to speak. What kind of shag nasty world are you subscribing to for money? Oh, free speech. Okay, do it for free, you cunts. Free speech. Speak freely for free. The bollocks of monetarisation. Of course, advertisers are not going to want to subscribe to anything that devalues their product in the public's eyes, so that the host demonetizes you. Obviously, where have you been? Idiots. If you can't do it for free, don't fucking do it. You got a good message to the world, give it. Don't fucking sell it, you parasites. Charity begins at home. That's unconditional love if you ever want to translate it. How many of you people, you straight, upright, morally righteous people, do that? You weigh it up. What's in it for me first? And okay, that's dependent on how much I pucker my lips. But blow it out your ass. Unconditional love is unconditional. You know, oh, if you do that and you sound like your dad, I'm going to disinherit you. How about that one? Yep. Well, I called her Emma Grace. I called him Toby William. I was there when he was born. She called him White. That was highly inaccurate. I should have called him Constable. Because artistic he certainly was. But there was such an element of flying monkey that he was going for his third stripe and he didn't give a fuck about the consequences of his actions. Now, old Blighty is his paymaster. Nearly 40 years of state control. She sold my kids down the river. Colonial Canadian. Got to be a better life than that. What does it mean by Britons never ever shall be slaves? Take a knee and be a slave. You know, you think, oh, they're lucky, they got a knighthood. How many of the knighthoods have had their heads chopped off? Look at the history books. From the age of glory in Queen Elizabeth I. If they're not physically chopping it off with an axe, they're chopping it off some other way. That's Liam over there, you know. We don't dance much now. Huh. No, it goes. Up and you don't. Should I be happy about the way things are going in the world? Liam? I don't think so. He looks like he's got the comfy seat at last, doesn't he? Huh? The comfy seat at last. I'm moving stuff around at the moment so that I can make more of a racket than I'm making now. Playing to a piece of wood. Wow. 45 minutes. 55 seconds. Ooh. Oh. Well. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The sail in your ears with rubbish comes to mind. I'm awful sad for the new year coming. I am. It's not about being proud of what you're going to do for yourself. I look what they're doing for themselves out there. Ha ha ha. I don't want to laugh. I looked and I seen and I'm nearly crying. I was nearly crying 10 years ago. I don't see any improvement up to date. I try and stay in because nearly crying's a crap way to live. But when that outside world creeps into my life here, I'm not nearly crying, I'm pissed off. You know, I don't wear a mask. I'm not going to wear a mask. I don't see why I should wear a mask. They don't work. It's like wearing square wheels on your bicycle. You just don't do it. Just because somebody convinces you that square wheels are better, it's not going to make me feel better. Falsy. You're joking. I've seen enough of hospitals to know how inadequate they are to what they ever say on the tin. They're not doing the job. True. They're waiting for orders from above as to what to do next. Which treatment should we give him? Ask the boss. Okay, give him that. All right, give him that. Give him that treatment. And if he dies, it's his own stupid fault. All right, don't worry. We've got him covered. All right. If he's a mouth breather and you're breathing snot down his throat because you haven't got a mask on, dear nurse, we won't blame you. Well, I saw that in France. I saw rules broken in Rennes, in a teaching hospital, a cardio teaching hospital, that if it had been noticed in a restaurant, it would have been closed down forever. And I put that point to the consultant, and he agreed with me, and he did nothing. He treated me as though I was the problem, because I noticed and I complained. I don't want to put my life at risk to be experimented on and used for teaching students what they call bogus ritual treatment routines. It's got nothing to do with scientific approach and ethical approach to medicine. It's just teaching them monkey tricks. And it's a risk to every individual that goes into one of those teaching hospitals. More of a risk than the danger that they face with the illness that they have. 15 minutes I witnessed a woman who had not got netted her hair, who had a streaming bloody cold nose, snot slithering out, slime in her fingers, not washing her hands, no mask, ignoring an old man who was a habitual mouth breather, who was choking through lack of oxygen, ignoring him and ignoring personal hygiene as though nothing mattered except getting through the day. I complained that she wasn't wearing a mask and hadn't washed her hands after sliming her nose 3 times before it was noticed. Why are they paying them in a teaching hospital to be ignorant to that extent? My memory is perfect. They are at fault. The executive, the CEOs of the establishment of the teaching end of the hospital is at fault. If anybody gets any trouble with their relatives dying as a result, I would advise them to take that man, whoever his bloody name is, it's easy found, I found it, to task. Because his methods are beyond humane science. They are part of an ideological ignorance of fact. He is not bound by any ethical standard, as I can see, because he argued apology for people doing the wrong thing, and he was in the teaching faculty. So as far as I'm concerned, he needs to be outed. I'll give you his name at some other point. Mylium, the dancing doll. We didn't get any. We got our own. Sorry, getting on for 10 now. Getting on for 10 now. Oh. Nobody wanted to come here, would they? No. I have a party. I paraphrase. What was his name? The party's over. I paraphrase his song. It's time to call it a day. and taken the moon away. It's time to shake off this masquerade. Take off your makeup. The piper must be paid. If they ever paid the piper, I'd be a rich man today. They've lied and cheated and stolen. They taught the children how to do exactly that. The only example they can show them. They're not close enough to see what we do here. So they think that's the only way to go. Well, I think I can put this up and come back later. See you later.